Hey everyone, Swordsman here. Welcome to the Crimson Sakura Lounge. Come on in, my dear friends. There's a chair and a drink waiting for you. So, I hope you all had a pretty calming time to relax. It's a brand new week. It's Monday. Starting to get a little warmer, surprisingly. And Valentine's Day has come and passed. I know some people are pretty tired of Valentine's Day, and well, I can understand that. Some of us get tired of how it forces upon romance. That's how it usually is, you know. Love is in the movies, in the books, in our favorite anime. But it's all about... When it comes to Valentine's Day, there's actually a lot of divisive opinions. Some feel like it's very frowned upon because of it entices commercialism behavior, like buying flowers, an oversized teddy bear, very expensive jewelry, a night out at a fancy restaurant that is overpriced and always seems to overcook your steak, no matter how many times you ask them to keep it medium rare. I digress. Another issue that I came across with Valentine's Day is, well, not too many people feel the need to celebrate it the way people normally celebrate it. In fact, if you recall, there was actually a recent study about people who had a romantic partner. And I actually found some stuff out pretty interesting. And it turns out that there's not only a lot less couples, but also a lot less divorce, which, in a way, I think you can say is a good way to not only encourage finding a perfect partner, but also they want to not just get married for the sake of getting married. Let me find something really quick. Okay, let's see. Alright, so this is what we found out. This is a pretty interesting... This is actually pretty interesting when you look at this. In a recent study across 20-somethings around the United States, they actually found out that 47% of men and 36% of women have no interest in looking for a romantic partner. In other words, people are looking at romance as the really divisive package deal that everyone has been forced upon, and telling the world no. There's also a lot of things that really can differ from opinion to opinion. It could be how you're raised, what kind of household you were raised in, what the standard is for marriage in your house, and if your parents are even okay with you to dating just about anybody, or if they have a specific taste. And there's also the underlying factor of straight and gay romances, but we won't get into that. Excuse me a second, I need to just blow my nose real quick. Sorry about that. As for how I celebrated Valentine's Day, I really don't have too much going on, other than, looking at the girls at V4 Mirai and watching my Oshis on Twitch. Very fun, very interesting. I also saw Scarl cook a tomahawk steak for the first time, which is pretty interesting to say the least. I never cooked a tomahawk, so she obviously did a better job than I did. Going for a reverse sear, as opposed to like your typical searing steak and just smoking it out the grill. That was interesting. And then she set off the fire alarm, which probably upsetted a lot of people and her landlord. So, that just goes to show. If you're going to cook something like that inside your house, make sure your windows are open, you disabled your smoke alarm, or maybe next time just cook outside if you're going to cook something that heavy. Speaking of which, I actually experimented a little with some cocktails. And I wanted to see if I could make a quote-unquote romantic cocktail. Something that everyone could enjoy, not just on Valentine's Day, but also any time of the day. So, I went over to the book that I usually turn to, and I came up with a few ideas. Find that book. That book is somewhere. I know it is. It's right around. It's somewhere. Oh, there it is. Found it. So, in terms of what romantic cocktails that one can have, I've actually found a couple that seem to fit that bill. Let's see. As you recall, there was one I saw called a porn star martini, which, no, I'm not making that up. That's actually an actual drink. There's one here that actually sounds rather interesting. It's called a Fitzgerald. And I believe this is supposed to be a reference to the iconic jazz singer, Sarah Fitzgerald. And it seems to be a drink that has equal parts gin, simple, and lemon juice with Angostura bitters. Yeah, 1.5 ounces of gin, 1 ounce of simple syrup, 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, and a lemon slice for garnish. Named after the very famous Fitzgerald. And it's actually supposed to be originated from St. Paul, Minnesota, which is the sister city of Minneapolis. There's also one I found called a French Pearl. I have found evidence that suggests that a French Pearl is sort of a twist on a mojito. So this is what they use. They use 2 ounces of gin, 6 mint leaves, 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, and then 1/4 ounce of Pernod. What is Pernod? Let me look real quick. So Pernod is... Ah, I see. It's actually a mild-tasting absinthe, but it's not exactly absinthe. It's actually a... It's a special kind of absinthe that has a sort of milder taste. And I think it's supposed to be less strong than your traditional American absinthe. Although, it's still like 70% alcohol, so I wouldn't recommend drinking all of it. It has a more anise flavor in it than your typical absinthe. Almost as a licorice. But not exactly licorice. It's still about 70% alcohol, so it's more of a liqueur or something that you add like as like a mixer as opposed to rather what you would normally do with absinthe, where you spritz it inside of a glass. Full disclosure too, I don't really care much for mojitos. I'm trying to see what else there is. So, let's see. I never did talk about the porn star martini that much, did I? Oh, wait. I found something else, though. This one is called Juliet and Romeo. And, yeah, it is, This actually is a Valentine's Day drink. And it was served originally in Chicago in 2007. And it seems to be a mix of gin, lime juice, cucumber, sugar, mint, salt, and rose water. So here's what they asked to use. 2 ounces of Beefeater gin, which, yes, that is a actual brand of gin. 3/4 of an ounce each of lime juice and simple syrup. A sprig of mint, 3 cucumber slices, a pinch of salt, 1 drop of rose water for garnish, 3 drops of Angostura bitters for garnish. That's 3 drops, not dashes, so you would normally just do like a single dash and let that drip out. And mint leaf. So, muddle cucumber slices and salt at the bottom of the cocktail shaker. You add the gin, lime, and simple, and mint. Fill the shaker halfway with ice. Shake until chilled, about 15 seconds. That seems right. Strain into a coupe. Garnish with rose water, bitters, and mint leaf. And yeah. It's as close to a house drink as we have. And it's actually one of these... It's actually a drink in Chicago that is actually only rivaled by an old-fashioned, which is ironic, really, because this and an old-fashioned are very differently made. You can be hard-pressed to find, like, any sort of cocktail that doesn't have a very unique history to it. There's definitely a lot that can really go under the wayside, because a lot of people, at least what I found out, is that they're not really interested in very well-made cocktails, from what I can tell. Some people just want to drink for the sake of getting drunk, to get wasted, to have a wild time, And, you know, I think that's what makes me sad. More than anything. There used to be a time when drinking was more of a social event rather than just an excuse to get blasted. And I don't know what really started that on, because it feels like there's so many things you can try. And people often complain that, you know, alcohol is expensive. You shouldn't drink at bars. Bars should cut down the prices. Here's the thing, though. The prices are made to discourage more than one drink. Obviously, a lot of the alcohol mixers, liqueurs, and fruits that they use, they have to usually buy on hand. And not only is that expensive on their part, but also, you want to slow down when you drink your spirits. It's not like something that you can just down one after another after another. Especially when it comes to mixed drinks, because, you know, your body would most likely not be used to that. So, you know, you want to slow down, take it easy, enjoy the drink. See if you really want to keep going. So that's why a lot of them will cost an arm and a leg. You'll get charged $12, $15 for a Negroni or a Sazerac. Speaking of which, this one is called a Wibble. A Wibble. So this one is actually very interesting. This is made out of someone who is ironically still alive. So let's see. This is another gin drink. It is 1 ounce each of, you know, your usual London dry gin and your slow gin. Slow gin, if you're wondering, is very different from your typical London dry gin. Slow gin is actually made very differently, as it's actually a red liqueur made with blackthorn fruits, otherwise known as sloes. And that's how it gets its like little reddish color, looking almost like a syrup. You can actually buy these in stores if you really want to, but you can actually make your own if you can find the fruit and if you have the process to make it. It's a slightly sweeter gin and very low in alcohol too. So they're actually a lot easier to drink. So let's see. So it's gin, slow gin, 1 ounce of grapefruit juice, 3/4 of a teaspoon of lemon juice, 3/4 of a teaspoon of simple syrup. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. A 3/4 teaspoon of creme de mure. And no, not that kind of demure. So, creme de mure is not a mixture that I normally would find. It is another berry, sort of liqueur. It's a blackberry liqueur, which is usually made with fresh blackberries. It's supposed to taste like jam, ironically. I would probably use these in a I'll probably use this in a gin berry fix, most likely. And I have like a couple of recipes that call for blackberry liqueur. It's actually pretty interesting how to make this. So you can, again, this is something that you can actually make. I don't know if you would want to make it, because I feel like unless you have the expertise to get into it, it also is something that takes months to finish. Like, you want, for certain liqueurs, you want to age it so that all the ingredients sort of ferment and mix together rather nicely. That's why with stuff like whiskey, wine, rum, they taste better with age because, well, they have the time to get all those flavors processed with each other. As to how you can make it, well, it's actually as simple as using fresh blackberries, sugar, water, and vodka. The reason you would use vodka is not only is it strong, but there's virtually no flavor content on its own, at least the base kind of vodka. So it actually makes for a good distill for when you're making your drinks. It's also very easy to mix with other ingredients. That's why people will ask for Moscow mules, vodka martinis. They're very easy to work with, very easy to get around. Here's one that I think a lot can relate to. This is called Wildest Redhead. And if you know Wild Redhead, let me know. This one is 1 1/2 ounce of blended scotch, 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of rich honey syrup. If you want to know how to make honey syrup, all you can do is do a 3-to-1 ratio of honey and water, and you sort of mix that all in to create a much more syrupy consistency rather than a thick one. 1/4 of an ounce of allspice dram and 1/4 ounce of cherry herring. So this is actually a pretty simple one. And with the cherry herring, you want to float it over the cube, so it's more of a garnish, if you will. Yeah, it's most people think that bars only use Angostura bitters, but there's actually other things like chocolate bitters, Peychaud bitters. There's even celery bitters to make just to make some more savory or saltier drinks. You sort of want to balance it out so that it complements the fruits and the spirit well. And again, this is as well as what cherry herring is. It is made from Stevens cherries. Stevens cherries are definitely a little more different than your typical Lipsardo cherry and regular wild cherries. Is this something you could make? Well, that depends on how well you can do it. As what you can use this for, I have seen this used commonly in Singapore slings. As to what a Singapore sling is, it is basically... It is a mix of gin, Benedictine, or triple sec, and cherry liqueur. And I don't think I see too many people order those, surprisingly. It's very fruity. It's very herbal, too, because of the Benedictine, or any sort of herbal liqueur you could use. You also want to use a Contral or some kind of triple sec. And top it off with a little bit of club soda. Personally, one of my favorite mixers to use is grenadine. Grenadine is basically pomegranate juice mixed in with sugar and water. And it's very delicious. I would recommend finding out how to make drinks with grenadine, because it really tastes a lot better. Sugar just makes things taste better. Sugar is one of the worst things that you can put in your stomach, and yet people will still eat it because it tastes so good. Then again, that's probably the same reason why people still drink. Hindsight's 20/20. Now let's see, what other culinary cuisines could I teach you all? So the next one I found was called a jasmine. I have found evidence to suggest that this is actually a play of the classic Cosmopolitan that most people are familiar with. And this actually came from the book called Cocktail, the Drink Bible for the 21st Century. This was actually probably the most commonly written and read book of cocktails that most bartenders go to. And it's pretty much one that everyone really defaults to when they're just starting out. The only reason I haven't is because, I got this book. And I want to experiment on my own most of the time. If you ever do find the book Cocktail, I would recommend getting it. It has, so many things that most bartenders would want to know. And one of the biggest bartenders was Tony Abu-Ghahim, who was one of the biggest bartenders in San Francisco, and he presided over the Starlight Room. He then went over to the Bellagio Hotel and Casino, pretty much changing all of Las Vegas overnight when he moved there. And the Jasmine is actually one of his best signature cocktails over at the Bellagio. So how to make this, you want 1 1/2 ounces of gin, 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, and 1/4 ounce each of Contrao and Campari. Then a lemon twist for garnish. Obviously, this is a shake and drink, so you need to have your own shaker. I did mention this in a earlier stream. When bartenders are trying to shake their drinks, they prefer to use Boston shakers. Boston shakers are much favored as opposed to cobbler shakers. They're just very easier to open with. You get more control when you shake them, and you also get a much more frothier drink at the end of it. Cobbler shakers are more like the beginner's shakers. But I still see Japanese bartenders use them when they're making some specialty drinks. So I feel like experiment with both of them and see which one is more comfortable with you. Now what was I doing again? Oh right, the porn star martini. Right, so the porn star martini. I don't know if this counts as a romantic drink. Or maybe it does. I don't know. This is what it's read over here. Let me read it to you. That a drink called the porn star martini found immediate popularity in the early aughts is shocking to no one. When bartender Douglas Akron came up with the decadent mixture of passion fruit puree, passion fruit liqueur, vanilla-flavored vodka, originally Curiel, vanilla syrup, and Prosecco, the inviting flavors paired with the ribald handle made it a must-have at his popular London bars. However, what is unexpected is that the popularity would endure for nearly over 2 decades. to the point that in 2019, it was reported to be the most ordered cocktail in the United Kingdom. Huh, must be really that good. The appeal of the drink boils down to three things: the lurid name, which almost dares you to order the cocktail, the widely popular components, and the novel presentation. The bubbly is not poured atop of the drink in the form of a royale, but it comes in a sidecar as a chaser. That's definitely an interesting thing. Usually when you have a drink that calls for like a fizzy kind of thing, like a champagne, it's usually floated on top of it, but apparently it's served with it's usually served on the side, like as a chaser, I guess. So let's see what it is. 1 1/3 ounce of vanilla flavored vodka, 1 2/3 ounce of passion fruit puree. I would definitely recommend using fresh fruit for something like this. 1/2 ounce of passion fruit liqueur, preferably Pizzoa, 2 tablespoons of vanilla syrup, and 1 ounce of Prosecco. They recommend serving it with a shot of Prosecco on the side. And again, they also have it paired with a champagne chaser, which is an interesting thing. And this drink definitely looks like a play on the sidecar, which is pretty interesting. And the reason it's called a sidecar is if you drink too many of them, that's where you'll end up in. So, I think I just gave everyone a lot of reasons to call in sick and to make a lot of really expensive alcohol. That being said, today is not about alcohol. It is about visual novels. And today, we are going to see if we can finish, quote-unquote, finish, Ciconia today. We legally cannot read past Chapter 7, so we'll see how far we can get to it. I don't think there's a whole lot left, although I have been wrong before. Surprisingly, I do like what we learned in that whole thing. So their whole deal is that these Gauntlet Knights, these parallel processors, actually have a sort of split personality kind of thing. Which really explains not only how Miyao went to Miyao when they were out in town, but also his little episode from when they were in the little chat room earlier, when he was warned that he was going to kill everyone. So, it makes sense now. I say it makes sense, because I still don't... I mean, I get what's going on. I mean, I still don't understand why he had that episode the way he did, but I get it now. So he believes that he's two different people, and they have a sort of brother and sister relationship. One takes over one time, and the other takes over the other. They sort of have their inner dialogue with each other, but at no point do we ever hear it. We also found out that there is a secret society of scientists who are basically trying to make do with what they claim to be a site of miracles, trying to sort of break the boundaries of science. Pickle Army, welcome to the bar. Hope you enjoy your stay. I don't know why my alerts are not working right now. I thought I fixed my alerts a long time ago. I think I might have to see about checking those out. Actually, you know what? Since I'm here, I might as well see what I can do. I was almost certain that I had it all set up, but I guess I don't. I do have 2 different windows opened up though, and 2 different screens going on though. So it's not like I don't see what's happening. But yeah, I don't know why I'm not getting any alerts recently. This never happens to me, like, at all. So let me just check on something really quick. Huh. Pickle Army. Why does it say that your account was just recently made 4 days ago? Very suspicious. Very suspicious. I'll have to fix that later. But yeah. That is very weird. I don't know why my alerts aren't working the way they should. But I'll definitely play around with that a little more later on. We'll see. So, in terms of Ciconia, we have learned that these Gauntlet Knights are definitely not, quote-unquote, normal. Some of them definitely have more quirks than others. Some are a lot more reserved and stoic. Others are a little more outgoing and loud. Some are pretty wild, and some are pretty timid. It really seems like each one is very unique in their own way. Not just from the country they come from, but also how they carry themselves. Some try to keep a more professional standard, while others are a little more laid back. The one constant about them is that they definitely have a real problem with authority. And that's actually pretty interesting when you consider that the whole reason for them is that they are made to be soldiers of peace. But at the same time, these are still soldiers who are meant to carry out very dangerous jobs. And as we learned from way back in the beginning, a lot of the advertisement they did to promote these Gauntlet Knights wasn't exactly all true. I mean, the broad strokes are true, but it's very clear that they were really using that as a sort of PR kind of way to get people to be more excited about joining the Gauntlet Knights and trying to get this whole thing under wraps. And of course, the much more, I want to say, veteran soldiers who are training these kids, they still have their doubts that they can actually perform in battle. Because despite how well equipped they are and how fast they can move and how fast they can fight, that still begs the question, how does this replace an army, let alone attain peace? Speaking of which, it also took the concept of war rather interesting. It wasn't so much a blame game, but rather they felt like if they knew about more of what caused it, it would really trigger animosity on all fronts. So they actually made it a way to forbid people to learn about war that happened over there to prevent World War IV. Which is an interesting concept to me. Because, yeah, granted, you don't want people to keep a stigma on other countries just because of past events. Eventually you want to move on and let everyone get on with their lives. But at the same time, if you really want to omit all of that just out of fear that it would happen again, how are people going to know what caused it? It's really fascinating to me. It's really asking questions like, do people really learn from history? Or are we just in a perpetual cycle where we keep repeating it regardless if we know about it? So, I'm very curious as to what the rest of this story has to tell about us. But we'll definitely wait on that later on. So, we're going to take... It's actually almost been an hour, so we're going to take a short intermission. We're going to get ourselves ready for the game, or more for the reading. So, everyone, get yourself something to eat, something to drink, go to the bathroom, get some chores done. We'll be back in just a moment.
Fly me.
Alright, and we're back. Alright, now, let's see how far we can get. I mean, I say how far, we already know how far we're allowed to be. And according to this, we've actually only been playing this for about 6 hours. So, that makes you wonder how much more there could possibly be. Usually, 7 expansion stories span like 3 more chapters like this, like about 12 or 14. So we'll see what ooh. Too big. Like right there. Right there sounds good. This is a good one, right here. Alright. Let's see how far we can get. Let's see. Let's come over here. Beep. Alright. I think we left off right here. Come to think of it, didn't Miyao himself fly in the simulator on the day of the Battle Standard Festival to remember that beginner's enthusiasm? I guess it's more important to remember that passion every now and then. After piling a bunch of sweet items from the dessert buffet on my plate, I sat down next to Miyao. Look at them. They're so gay for each other. Alright, let's see. You're right, Miyao. Every now and then, we gotta remember that simply flying through the sky is fun. When you look at these kids in the eye, and those memories come back, it's so refreshing. Oh? Looks like you've got quite a pile going on there too, Miyao. You always make your toppings look so pretty. I just do whatever since it's all going right into my stomach anyways. But you've got a good artistic sense for these things. I got my usual cornflake covered in chocolate and sugar and honey. Then you pour ice cream over it and cover it with nuts. It's all mixed up like pig slop. What's wrong? Why are you staring at me? Got a stomachache? Miyao was staring, apparently irritated by something. Did I do something to put him off? Uh-oh. But if that's true, he's the kind of guy who'd say so as a reflex. I've never seen him just stare at me so scornfully like this. Miyao has sent you movement data from the mock battle. Well? What? Haven't you lectured me enough? Oh, or are you going to compliment me because you realize I did something smart? in the mock battle just now. Actually, in all your mock battles lately. Compared to the data from our previous mock battles, there's been a change in your tenacities. Hey, why don't you just say it with your mouth? Shut up. My mouth is busy eating. Okay, I get it. Then I'll let my mouth focus on eating too. When we were face to face, they tend to speak mentally only when it was something tough to hear, like a warning or something you'd only actually say because you're friends. So, Jaden tensed up. So, what kind of changes have you seen in my fighting tendencies? My scores aren't bad, right? If anything, they're slowly getting higher, aren't they? I'll admit that, and I've got no complaints. It's just, well, what is it? Come on, Miyao, what are you hiding? Come on, say it. We're friends, aren't we? Lately, you've been creeping me out. Huh? What'd you say? Before, you were a lot more brutal when you fought. You did things you could never do in a real fight. Things that were obviously just you screwing around. I'm just holding off on that since you kept getting mad at me and telling me not to fight that way. In the past, I'm pretty sure you found it funny and I got mad, and just acted even worse. Well, enough about that. Set it aside. What's creeping me out is stuff like what just happened now, for instance. What? If you got a problem, then just spit it out. Like how you said, whether it's a land fight or an aerial fight, you're nothing less than beautiful. Nice work, Miyao. What the heck was that? How the hell is that creepy? If anything, you're being creepy. If you've got a problem, then tell me directly with your mouth. As a side note, most lovers' quarrels in this era began with the man freaking out and saying, if you got a problem, then tell me directly with your mouth. Okay, then I will say it with my mouth. Of course, this was always the second line of such quarrels. What is it you said when you saw me eating this? Oh, looks like you got quite a pile going on there too, Miyao, and so on. You've got a good artistic sense for these kind of things. Nope. Nope. The old you would never say that. True enough. The old Jaden had always teased Miyao and called him a kid when he saw something like that. However, Miyao had noticed a clear change in the way Jaden had been acting towards him. And after we finished training, whenever I was worn out, you'd say I was pathetically thin and tell me to bulk up more, right? But now what do? What did you do today? Hey, nice work, Miyao. You're covered in sweat. Want to use my towel? Hey, your sweat smells pretty good. You're doing great considering how slim you are. But don't overdo it, okay? You can rely on me whenever you need to, got it? Thumbs up. Sparkle. Like an anime character, just sparkle naturally. That's just normal bonding between guys, right? Yeah, it's just bros being bros. Nothing harmful about that. And anyway, we're partners. I won't deny it, and I know you're my partner, but, well, you've kind of been overboard lately. Like, it's the way you touched me. You're getting too close and you're grossing me out. Don't rub my shoulder, don't sniff me, and don't mess with my hair. Hey, don't say that with your mouth. People will misunderstand. I thought you were the one who wanted me to talk with my mouth. Miyao leapt to his feet, slammed his tray down in the return gate, and tried to leave. Jaden returned his tray too and chased after him. Oh? It's rare for those two to argue out loud. I don't get it, but I'll just go ahead and report this to Yelat Shavit. That little emote that he was doing. Hey, wait, Meow. Jeez, you're just too adorable. I told you you're creeping me out. What are you pouting for? It's not like I'm making fun of you, okay? It's just a term of endearment, right? I told you. You're creeping me out. I may be your partner, but I'm not your bride, or your girlfriend, or your sister, or your pet. What? See? You got so excited you tripped. Are you okay? I told you, don't cling to me like it's totally normal, okay? Let go! If you brush me off like that, it just makes me want to creep you out even more. What are you doing with your fingers? Oh god. Here, goody goody goody. Stop that! It tickles! Are your shoulders feeling a bit stiff? Stop! It tickles! It tickles! Your back must be really stiff, Meow. Let's see. Is this your weak spot? That face! The instant he pressed his fist into Meow's back shoulder blade, the latter let out a strange voice he had never heard before, arching backwards and twitching. Did you just made him orgasm? Meow was looking up at Jaden with a flushed expression, breathing heavily. Stop it, Jaden. My back is really sensitive. Huh? Meow, is that you? In the next instant, she shook her head, and there was Meow's face, but still bright red and enraged. Get your hands off me! Jeez. Man. He really doesn't like being touched. I mean, how do you even go about having a relationship with someone who has a split personality? Actually, I think there was a show that was like that, where there was this girl who had 3 different personalities in her body. She kept arguing amongst them. One was like a peppy girl, the other was normal, the other was like acted like a redneck man. And they just sort of had this swap around, like, who's who and what's what, and they kept arguing which gets the body and what. The 3 kings have decided. We command the lords. Prepare for the harvest festival. The King of Fury. I'm very curious what that clock means. It seems like it could be a doomsday clock, but I don't know yet. Well, I know I shouldn't have done that. I texted him to say I was sorry, but he didn't read it and ignored it. That's too bad. Even if he ignores them, you should keep texting that you're sorry. An apology doesn't end when it is made. It ends when the one you're apologizing to forgives you. Is that how it works? Wouldn't it be better to leave him and give him some time to think? This time I agree with them. If you get angry and start ignoring him, things like this tend to get worse. Relationships are such a pain, huh? Life should be lived moment to moment, but you keep getting stuck on things and it screws everything up. Well, even if Jaden does apologize for taking a joke too far, that's not the real problem here, is it? True. Jaden, you aren't a CPP, a congenital parallel processor, right? Quite a few CPPs dislike it when people get confused while interacting with their multiple personalities. Are there any congenital CPPs here now? I don't think you want to be asking that. Not everyone who's come out has enjoyed the experience. Single personalities are a majority in the world at large, but there's a minority among Gauntlet Knights. Well, it just means you have to treat people differently here. Anyway, you hear this a lot in the world of CPPs. Someone falls in love with one personality, and the other personality starts to hate them. In the world of single personalities, it's not that uncommon for people to see their partners in a new light after noticing that they have an unexpected side of them. Very true. When incidents like these happen in the world of romance, manga, and novels, they inevitably led to the development of romantic feelings. However, that only implies when said partner is a single personality. To them, a different personality is the same as a different person. So, when you take your impression of one and force it on the other, they despise it. I get it. If a guy in my class sucked at basketball, and someone said I must suck too because I was in his class, it pissed me off. Miyao is Miyao. Meow is meow, okay? Perhaps you developed romantic feelings for Miyao, and subconsciously started treating Miyao as a member of the opposite sex. If you calmly analyze it like that, it makes you want to find a hole and crawl to. Jaden hung up to his head in the bath. It was just a virtual bath in a virtual room, so he wouldn't suffocate or anything. But right then, he was so embarrassed that he didn't want his male friends to see his face. There's no need to be embarrassed. We are soldiers after all. We may be servants to world peace, but fundamentally, we're in a job where we might lose ourselves at any time. I don't think it's a bad idea to experience love while you have a chance. In the end, this is all because I didn't understand anything. It's my fault. At the same time, in the open-air bath of the same virtual room, the Gauntlet girls have gathered. The topic of discussion here was the same as the boys. I understand how you feel, but he didn't know. If you get too angry, I'd feel sorry for him. That's right. You talk to him so harshly, that's just too sad for Jaden. The way his attitude suddenly changed was seriously creepy. We're partners, okay? I trusted him because we were supposed to put our lives in each other's hands. And then he suddenly starts treating me like a girl. It was a shock, and it made me so sad. I thought we loved each other like family in the best way possible. I believed we had a trusting relationship that went beyond things like gender. And then he suddenly starts acting like that. Whoa, 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 whoa. Please have more faith in your partner, in Jaden. That's just the sort of creature boys are, suddenly changing when they realize someone is a girl. From now on, he might be like a fox staring down at a hen house. You know, that is an interesting point. When you find out someone you knew is actually a girl, your personality and the way you treat them tends to be different. No way! Whoa, 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 whoa. Miyao is a girl, but Miyao isn't. This is clearly a case of identity confusion, a human rights violation. This is probably because he wasn't properly educated about CPPs. As long as CPPs continue to hide, instead of furthering understanding in the world at large, this sort of thing will continue to happen. That's all there is to it. But if they do come out, they simply take on social risk without any benefits. I've ordered my attendants to make sure Jaden fully understands what's going on here. Now that he knows, if he ever does the same thing again, I'll see to it that he's properly punished. Hey, don't do something so ominous to Jaden. I'm sure Jaden will understand. Wow. It's not like I want him to understand me or anything. I was just so horrified. You're horrified that someone thinks of you as a woman? My. So now you're making statements that are prejudiced against women, huh? People only say Big Brother is thin like women because he doesn't understand exercise much. It's not like that. If I exercised and bulked up, then you'd be pissed because our body wouldn't look like a girl. I never said that. You're only thin because you don't exercise. But I'm short. And my arms are short. So even if I finally started exercising, all the buff guys would just make fun of me and see, you don't exercise because of your own reasons. Don't use me as an excuse for not doing it. I hate you, Big Brother. I can't believe this. What the hell? Damn it! You want to have a go? Ow! Miyao's right and left arms started fighting, pinching their cheeks and pulling at their hair, like a single person phantoming a fight. So it's like he's, the whole term, stop hitting yourself, start hitting yourself. Why are you keep hitting yourself? That's them right now. That's hilarious. In other words, the source of their fight wasn't just identity confusion. It was Miyao's own inferiority complex about his body. Nice analysis. Really is a nice analysis. I can propose a perfect way to resolve this. Wait, are you trying to say we're both at fault here? This isn't Jaden's fault, it's all yours. All you had to do was stop saying things like that, calm down, and show him how to interact with CPPs. Stupid Big Brother, you weak, skinny pipsqueak. Mocking the physical characteristics of someone whose body you share may be the dubious of tactics. At any rate, they managed to get Miyao's side of the story. The girls passed the message on to the guys talking to Jaden with a mental text. Boy, this really does feel confusing. I mean, what are you supposed to do in this kind of situation? Apparently, this group had almost finished getting Jaden's side of the story. Everyone admonished Jaden, making him understand how rude identity confusion was to CPPs. Right now, the impact of Miyao's "you're creeping me out" was sinking in, and he was being wrapped in a fierce self-hatred. It's not like you to let it get you down like this. Miyao went too far as well. If he doesn't like being called weak, all he has to do is train on his own. The fact that he's so horrified just because he thought someone was treating him like a woman is pathetic for someone who is technically a Japanese boy. And if he's worried about his body, you should just train him up at a gym or something. It sounds like he wants to be treated like a man, so whip him up into shape. If that's what he wants, then sure. I won't hold back. I just discussed this with Naomi, and we agreed that a male bonding ceremony would be the best way for you two to make up. Nice. Go sweat together as men. It's the best way to make up. What do you mean, male bonding ceremony? In old Japanese manga, men who had grown distant would always resolve their problems like this. We can advise you in this virtual room, but our bodies are far away. We can't help you directly. So, we're going to get a trustworthy friend, Gunhild, to set the stage. Huh? You're bringing Gunhild into this? I'd rather not tell the others in the AOU if I can help it. Don't worry. She understands you two far better than you know. I just texted her. Now, you only need to obey her instructions. Okay. He wasn't quite satisfied with this, but a text from Gunhild came almost immediately. You have received a message, Poyo. This is Gunhild. I asked that Miyao and Jaden gather here immediately. Gather where? Gather where, exactly? There was a blip on the map screen. Isn't that... I don't really get it, but I'll head on over. Everyone, thanks for hearing me out. Don't worry about it, young man. Life seems long, but it's shorter than you think. Enjoy your ignorant youth to the fullest. Jaden has exited the room. A short while after Jaden left, the girls who had been listening to Miyao and Miyao joined them. This will probably get their feelings back on the right track. Cases that can't be healed with medicine really make your back ache. When friends make up, they become even better friends. Wow. I hope they do. Miyao really does love his partner, doesn't he? I suppose it's that trust that lets them fight the way they do. I've known it since the Bahal Standard Festival. When it comes to bonds of trust, we of Pai Bao Squad are in no way inferior, Princess. Momotake, I guess you'll never give in on that point. Okay then. I'll leave too and look after the ladies from Suparna. They're both so serious, they'll suffocate if I don't tease them. We shall leave too. Come now, back to training. Our next mock enemy is AOU America's Atlantic Fleet. Whoa, Princess. That's a bit harsh. 5 seconds after we helped Jaden of AOU America sort out his personal issues. Come on. You just know those AOUs are training for an assault on the Atlantis Sprint Spirit Field. I'd guess the ABN's doing an assault on Algiers, and the COU's doing a mine blockade of the Mozambique Channel. My, I have no idea what you two are talking about. Oh, pardon me while I go memorize the Mapodo Central Harbor layout. We also undergo training using other factions as mock enemies. And it's no surprise that the same thing happens in reverse. We're all doing it. Even though we're all comrades who love the sky, and even though we do this job for the sake of peace, we're still soldiers. Understanding why it's like that doesn't make it any less tough. The walls of peace are heavy. We all have to get strong if we're going to support them from both sides. Of course. When two combatants raise their swords at each other, it is essential that both sides have properly honed their skills. That sort of determination is essential for both military might and for comrades supporting the walls of peace. Indeed. Remaining attentive and not slacking off in your training is the best way for warriors to show respect for each other. Correct. Nothing would humiliate me more than hearing the COU wasn't even worth training against. Hey, that's enough talking about scary things. Wah 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 wah. In the It's a Wrap public bath, we all swore with Miyao that we'd be friends. So stop saying scary stuff. Wah 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 wah. You're right. That public bath oath is the most important one we've made, and it binds everyone here together. For now, let's put aside affiliations and factions, and pray that our friends Miyao and Jaden make up okay. Yes, and let's be glad that we were able to help. Okay then, we'll just head back to the mine-laying simulation in the whatever channel. See you later, everyone. One by one, they all vanished from the room. And then there were none left, leaving the virtual room wrapped in silence, except for the sounds of the bath. That's not a very comforting sound. Oh god. Oh, not again. What the You know, it really is weird, this era. Just a little. Ah, you're wondering about how I look. It was getting confusing, so I sorta had to make this to match my taste. Think it looks good on me? I mean, it's a little jarring, but I'm not one to judge. Well, I really couldn't care less what you think. Oh, okay, so suck my dick then. All that matters is whether I like it or not. You know what? That's fair enough. Still, this really is a strange era. After all, you're all soldiers, right? Isn't it your job to defeat your opponents in war? Even if you try to cover it up with all this talk about supporting the walls of peace together and being servants of international peace, defeating enemies is a soldier's job. They probably all believe that. Even if war does break out, they'll all be able to handle it neatly and beautifully thanks to this sportsmanship. However, the cost of that foolishness will soon be paid at a higher price than you've ever imagined. There's no way that'll happen. We're all friends. We swore that to each other. Even if a conflict erupts, we definitely won't kill each other. You act like this is a nonsense prediction, but none of it will ever happen. This is probably a misunderstanding peculiar to Japanese. Yogen and Yogen are both pronounced Yogen, but their meaning is entirely different. Do you know what the difference is? I don't want to talk to you. Disappear! Disappear! Well, I don't really care whether you ask or not. I'm talking because I want to. So about the difference between Yogen and Yogen. Yogen means what you think it does. It's making a prediction about the future and telling someone about it. That prediction might be right, or it might not. But Yogen is different. It means prophecy, receiving words from God. God is omnipotent, and also knows everything about the future. So the words of God are a promise about the future. When you receive those words from God and speak them, it becomes Yogen, a prophecy. My words are a prophecy. They are an announcement about a promised future. It doesn't matter whether you believe me or not. No matter what happens, everything will turn out the way I said. Right now, the world is still moving slowly. It may not look like the sort of environment a war could break out in, but behind the stage where you innocently play at being friends, the world is slowly preparing to become a place where people hate each other. Who would do something like that? Do you know about the Three Kings? They're the old people who claim to be the guides of humanity across the globe. Their ultimate goal is to get the whole world to fight at once, and then destroy everything by their own hands. For that reason, those old people have already made extensive preparations. And very soon, it will become real. When that happens, all this pretending to be friends for the sake of international peace will be over. All those people who looked like they were giving advice about romance or something just now will be torn apart from each other in a bloody fight to the death. They'll experience anger and sadness, countless negative emotions, and pathetically kill each other. We won't! We definitely won't! We'll never kill each other. How the hell could we? Very, very soon, hell will come to this earth. I'll never believe in a hell like that. I'll prevent it. I'll put a stop to it. I'll avoid it. No matter what, I'll definitely avoid that hell, that fate. Listen, my adorable Miyao. Your highest priority goal is to stop this hell before it happens, using any means necessary. The only way to succeed in that is to kill them. You must find them and kill them. You may do whatever is necessary to accomplish that. No matter whom you have to kill or what you have to break, there's no need to hold back. Kill them. That's the only way to avoid that hell. Kill the Three Kings. Kill them. When love is on your side, age and height are no barrier. Neither nationality nor race can stand between a couple. Even religion and gender can't tear apart two people who love each other. Wow. These are actually very nice nuns. We'll support any kind of love. We are the ultimate cheerleaders for all couples in love. Yeladat Shavit. Bringing the heat. We're here. So, where are they? Where are the AOU pretty boys who awaken to love between men? Now that we're here to support you, have no fear. Our 550mm torpedoes will burst through all barriers to love. Searching for a target. Oh? Forget the target. There isn't anyone here at all. We never stand idle in a place lacking love. We're the comic girls, Yelach-Shavit. Resuming search for love. Yelach-Shavit, bringing the heat. Leia, Fatima, and Stefina have left the room. The number of participants in virtual room It's a Wrap public bath is now 0. Entering sleep mode. They arrive too little too late. They're all going to die. If you want to avoid this hell, you have to kill. Kill them. Or if that's impossible, yourself. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, what's wrong, Miyao-chan? Is that all? Gonna go to bed like a little girl? Shut up! I'm a man! Oh, they're boxing? The two of them were in the training room ring, punching each other while wearing gloves and headgear. Apparently, they've been at it for a while. Both of them were covered in sweat. I see. Like Stan said, the best way for boys to restore their friendship is a good dash of fatigue and the release of their fighting instinct. Don't underestimate me just because I'm short. You asshole! You asshole! Damn it! My gloves are too heavy. Isn't this too much of a handicap? If you start losing, are you gonna blame your gloves? Even your excuses are super genius class. Ah, damn it. This tiny brat's so full of himself. Okay. I'll really punch the crap out of you this time. Ah! Stop, Jaina! Huh? Meow? Gotcha! Boof. Oh, that's a dirty move. A cross counter? Or would have been if Meow's arm were a bit longer. Jaden's left straight had beautifully lined up on Meow's face. But as usual, Meow's right straight hadn't been long enough to reach. With a thunk, Meow spread eagle to the ground. Damn it! Give me a saw! A chainsaw! I'm cutting this right arm off. I'll turn it into a rocket fist. I'm not gonna fall for that, Meow. I've already memorized the difference between how you and Meow talk. Oh, really? I'm so happy for you. Picks his nose. If you're that worried about your flimsy body, I'll train you like they do in the Navy. Don't start crying, okay? And if Meow starts crying from the muscle pain, how are you gonna take responsibility? I'll gently massage it until she gets better. But I won't do it for you, Meow. You can go rub in Domestican lotion on it all by yourself. Damn it! I'll train. I'll train like hell. I'll definitely protect Meow from beasts like you. Jaden's your partner, isn't he? How dare you call him a beast? There's no point in treating this kind of dumbass like a human. How can you say that about the partner who's done so much for you? Stupid big brother, you dummy! Ow! Hey, don't pinch me! Ow! Jaden, keep training big brother, okay? The truth is, he's feeling a bit relieved now, and he's grateful. Sure, leave it to me. I dedicate this victory to you, Meow. Thanks. That's Japan for you. I never thought I'd see a romantic comedy comic strip from the 20th century play out in real life. I'm jealous. Hey, keep your third wall breaking to yourself, lady. It's the beach episode! Hey, senor! Tojiro, how have you been? Well, you're enthusiastic, as I'd expect from a Latin American country. Someone might think we've been close friends for a decade. I didn't think I'd ever see you alive again. This was Ledo, Brazil. In the A3W world, anyone picturing a resort would think of Latin America. Latin America managed to preserve the most beautiful of environments and air quality, as well as its gorgeous vistas, making it a vacation destination for VIPs across the world. It would be no exaggeration to say that spending the rest of one's life in a high-class Latin American resort was the ultimate goal of many. It really is. The countries on the South American continent, which was the only one that had spirit fields of the high purity rare spiritium, were considered the most prosperous in the world. They were paradise nations, a fifth faction, which managed to maintain favorable relationships with all factions in a world where the other four factions were always quarreling. At a glance, it was hard to imagine what connection there might have been between Tojiro, who was well dressed despite this heat and pulling a wheeled bag behind him, and this man, who looked like he was lived every day to the fullest in casual clothes. The pair entered the lobby of the high-class hotel where the cheery man was staying and relaxed on an expensive sofa. Tojiro, you should quit your business too and come over to Ledo. It's great here, just heavenly. Sadly, I don't have the kind of vast wealth you need to apply for immigration to Ledo. Just go make friends with the big-breasted, big-ass girl on that beach over there. If you marry into their family, that'll get you your citizenship. All little girls dream of falling in love with foreign billionaires. That explains all those strangely appraising looks I got on the beach. They got good eyes. One look at the material in my clothes, and they knew I wasn't rich enough to be worth talking to. You really are a hoot, Tojiro. Really is a nice place. Ah, now this is more my style. Oh yeah, this is the kind of place I live for. The hotel bar was filled with relaxed Latin music that would satisfy the heart of any hard-boiled man. After the two men brought their glasses together, they silently enjoyed the atmosphere with their drinks for a little while. In an era where you could say things with your brain, it was customary to refrain from speaking anything but your orders in place where silence was treasured. So, each of the guests experienced the place in their own way, and they were able to enjoy their conversation without interfering with anyone. So, were you able to play that musical score? That was one hell of a score you found. I doubt there are even 5 people in the world who could perform that. Then I'm glad I'm one of those 5 people who owes me a favor. After all, a score isn't just a piece of paper if no one can perform it. You received 13 data items. Poyo. Still, where on earth did you find this? These are 8MS blueprints. Each one was an environmental AMS blueprint maintained by nationality support or the businesses from various countries. Now showing a preview of 13 items. So it seems. Only a few organizations manage AMS blueprints. And they're all supposed to be government-supported and tightly controlled by their countries. How did you get these? Who knows? It's a business secret. AMS, also called EMS. Its official name was the 8th Million System. It was a system of environmental nanomachines developed by the Yaoyorozu nanotech firm in B3W, Japan. The AMS had self-replicated repeatedly, eventually filling the atmosphere all over the planet. The groundbreaking system was capable of doing all sorts of things when instructed. It was almost like an OS that had been installed into the environment itself. It uses it to include communication, obviously, but also purification of the air and water, reduction of ultraviolet rays, medical applications, and eventually military applications as well. Its initial development had proceeded quickly, but scientists fearful of gray goo had kicked off a worldwide anti-nanomachine campaign, so it was kept from the light of day for a long time. However, when World War III ended, the world was faced with the prospect of imminent extinction. A nuclear winter had begun, starting the countdown to the world's end. While the political debate over its use was still going on, the AMS had been distributed across the whole world and began purifying the atmosphere. As a result, the globe did not freeze over. The countless gods known as AMS filled the air, raising the curtain on a new world. Just as oxygen and nitrogen had existed in the atmosphere, so too did the AMS now existed. Of course, it existed in all regions of the world, but it also existed as high as the stratosphere and as low as the bottom of the ocean. Wow, that's some nanomachine. Nanomachine, son. And naturally, it was inside the human body as well. Get the AMS out of my body, now. Some had worried that the knowledge of strange nanomachines filling everything from the atmosphere to people's bodies would trigger humanity's nanomachine allergy once again. All A3W governments hid this fact, but some scientists eventually made it public. The masses, knowing that nanomachines have been put into their bodies without their knowledge, and fearing that some sort of accident or malicious act might lead to tragedy, flew into panic. For several decades, it was used as a magic word by certain kinds of paranoids, conspiracy theorists, and newscasters. One that was used to explain all sorts of unpleasant, unknown things. However, 100 years had passed since then, without anything major happening. The generation afflicted by nanomachine allergies came and went. Nanomachines affected the entire planet, and the phobia of gray goo turning everything else into nanomachines was now viewed as a complete joke. You know, never in my life would I ever think that a game made this early and talking about something that spread all over the planet with people not knowing about it. I would never expect it to be relevant until today. Massive props to you guys. It was just like in the 20th century, when some people thought that letting off an H-bomb would cause a chain reaction with all the hydrogen on the planet and destroy the world. That opinion was also viewed as a complete joke later on. Now, No one thought as much of the fat countless nanomachines drifted throughout the atmosphere and their bodies. Nanomachines aside, humanity had always coexisted with all sorts of bacteria and viruses. And so, a murderous ADMS was simply added to the list of things an evil terrorist might develop in a spy novel, along with nukes and killer viruses. Of course, it isn't actually that simple. In the first place, developing ADMS requires cutting-edge research facilities, human resources, as well as a massive budget. Only the major countries from each faction are capable of that. And it's managed by the IPMA, and all countries observe each other's work. You couldn't possibly develop a malicious ADMS. Well, that's true enough. Still, if that's the case, what on earth was he thinking? The guy who got his hands on this heavily compressed file. Maybe he's a super hacker who somehow thought he could sell it for money. So he's both a super genius who can get into the super secure ADMS management servers, and a total moron who thinks he could actually make a profit out of it. Several ADMS blueprints were shared between ADMS research facilities across all the world's factions, under the management of the IPMA. So pre-existing ADMS blueprints were something all factions already had. Even if this hacker had retrieved it so some terrorists could start developing a malicious ADMS, they wouldn't be able to get their hands on the facilities or human resources necessary for such development, making the whole thing pointless. So it's a failsafe. Though the blueprints were managed quite carefully, they weren't worth any money. It was like stealing semiconductor techniques that had already been patented. Those were already public knowledge in the semiconductor industry, and if someone outside the industry found the blueprints for those techniques, they wouldn't do them any good at home or at the dinner table. I wonder what the guy who stole this was thinking. Well, this is just a theory of mine, but one of the blueprints is called Artemis, a water purification ADMS. That was a registered trademark of ACR South Africa's state management AMS program. There's also Sistema Cura, Pal Pal 1.02, and Einsinjam. Those are air purification AMS from Lato, Argentina, CLU Singapore, and CLU Saudi Arabia. There was a lot more, but they were all AMS blueprints relevant to atmospheric improvement. In other words, some mysterious terrorist wanted to take advantage of that to create some kind of environment-destroying AMS. And then they would use that to launch a massive attack on the world's food-producing regions, triggering a world panic. Nice. Forsyth would have loved this stuff. Water and air are essential to human life. If we lose those, we're screwed. I'll bet the terrorists are jealous of Lato's beautiful paradise and are planning to destroy it. But if you're still talking about a dream, right? Every lab on Earth is close under observation. There doesn't exist an institution anywhere that could develop something like an environment-destroying AMS. Maybe. But you want to know what, Tojiro? Even if it was impossible for every lab on Earth, a secret lab beneath the Earth might be a different story, right? Huh? What are you talking about? My Kisuna translates your Portuguese weird sometimes. I'm so sorry, Tojiro. Looks like my next appointment has just arrived. Mind if I include the bill from here as part of my fee? That explains why you were going for the expensive stuff. Obrigado. Hasta luego. The cheery man left the bar with the same cheeriness he always had when he first appeared. Now that the energetic man was gone, Tojiro was finally able to slowly soak in the bar's atmosphere. Then, the scent of a passionate perfume hit his nose. An attractive Brazilian woman who had sat down in the seat vacated by the cheery man. Tojiro raised his glass and winked at her. "Hi there, young lady. Would you care to join me for a drink?" "Gladly." "Valentina? Now, what shall I have?" "How about a milkshake? As laid back as Leto is, it's probably not a good idea to drink alcohol on the job." By this point, she wasn't alone. Several MPs from the Leto military were with her too. "Welcome to Leto, Brazil, senor. If you had told us you were coming, we could have given you a proper welcome." "Well, now that I know there's a beauty like you here to welcome me, I'll do that next time. His Excellency has said he wishes to invite you to dinner. Will you come with us?" "Works for me. If you'll be joining us in an evening dress, that is." "Senor says he'll gladly come with us. Sergeant, take his baggage, and see if any of his luggage has arrived at the room he was supposed to be in, spending the night at." "Nice. Just what I'd expect from a resort country. The service here is great." Tojiro set his empty glass on the counter and calmly stood up. The MPs walked right next to him on either side. This just got interesting. Was he really there for thrills? Or is there an underlying moment? "To fulfill our master's orders, we shall not hesitate to use the methods of demons, nor to stain our hands with demonic acts. Oath of the Order of Prometheus." Okay, hold on. I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. You guys all chill out here for a minute. Alright, we're back. Let's see how much further we can go. I don't know how many chapters we went through. It feels like a lot. So I guess we'll just keep going until it says we need to stop. You know, this clock reminds me that I have yet to play Metaphor. I probably won't live stream it, though. I want to enjoy that on my own. Whoop! Whoa. Former Prime Minister Zidane of ACR Liberia was reported to have died of an illness last week. But according to a recent link, he actually died due to a gunshot wound. This has led to a massive uproar in that country. Our former Prime Minister, a leader of peace and democracy, was killed by the ACR royal family. Africa must not fall back into a dark age. We request humanitarian and military support from the ABN military to protect the people of Africa. ACR Royal Family Press Secretary Rafani said that this measure was taken because making the announcement before the investigation concluded might have led to a panic, in effect confirming the leak. This crime was committed by secret agents of the ABN Guidance Department, which has always challenged the harmony of the African continent. A male and female member of the ABN involved in this assassination have already been arrested, and we have asked the International Criminal Police Department issue an official notice regarding 4 other participants. The ABN Department of Friendship, their equivalent to a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, has expressed their deep regret at these comments and... just now, ABN Pakistan's mining machines all started operating at once. The suspension of the Kashmir Spirit Field dispute, which both the ABN and the CLU supposedly agreed to, is now over. Ever since the dispute Kashmir region was found to contain a large-scale spirit field, the ABN and the CLU have publicly encouraged the other to show self-restraint, while simultaneously claiming that they themselves ought to possess the Kashmir region. This issue has been suspended for quite some time, but it seems that the moment has finally come for them to clash openly. The Foreign Minister of CLU China and CLU India have both released statements. They are harshly criticizing the ABN, saying that their breach of the agreement by resuming mining operations will not be tolerated, and that they must bear the responsibility for whatever happens next. World news has suddenly gotten so exciting. Is the information overlord making you old people lose your minds? It would count as information if this was news, but it isn't news to us. After all, when they announce the news, they're just reading our manuscript aloud for us. Precisely. All is in the name of guiding humanity down the right path. However, the Kashmir region isn't the only spirit field the CLU has. There is also the Glass Sea of Japan. The vast glass sea that separates CLU in Japan and AOU Japan have been maintained by both countries as a symbol of peace and a World War relic, and they've attempted to use it as an opportunity to build harmony. At least, until recently. Well, I suppose it's only natural for rare spiritium to become a source of dispute. Who could have predicted that a spirit field of rare spiritium would be found in the earth below the Glass Sea? AOU Japan did a soil analysis first, discovering that a vast spirit field existed there, but they concealed that information effectively prevented a soil analysis by COU Japan. AOU Japan says their announcement was merely delayed, and that they hadn't intended to conceal anything, but the AOU strongly suspect that they were trying to keep the spirit fields all for themselves. COU Japan claims that the Glass Sea was divided in half, so that the western halves belong to them, but AOU Japan claims that the Glass Sea is a neutral zone managed by both countries. COU Japan has suggested that they might station border guards in the area, So it seems unlikely that the Glass Sea of Japan will escape becoming another disputed territory. Your Excellency, we received a report from our COU Japanese comrades that the stationing of border guards will be taking place in 48 hours. Everything is proceeding smoothly. Even though they almost lost all their pieces in the big war, they managed to scrap together this much in just over a century. I must admit, I'm impressed. We also have reports that their pawns in countries around the world have all started taking action at once. Are you sure we shouldn't make our move? Nah, it'll be fine. If half or so of the world gets destroyed, that's probably just what humanity needs about now. Oh, you are trouble. Civilization is a unicycle that humanity's constantly riding. If they stop, they fall. So they have to keep moving. The only problem is that civilization has an end. When you reach that end, they will definitely come. It'll be a festival, a harvest festa. Everything will be reaped without even a single husk being left behind. It'll all be pulled up by the roots. Compared to that, World War IV will be far more humane. If you just rewind the world's civilization a little, the end of civilizations will be that much further away. And weapons of mass destruction have already been eradicated. See? Nothing to worry about at all. We have newer information about the Atlantic Spirit Field in the Atlantic. The AOU American government has made a statement that the ACR, which currently has a unilateral military presence in the area, must withdraw the warship Atlantis of the ACR Combined Navy from the Spirit Field within 2 weeks. If they do not, the AOU American Navy will dispatch their Atlantic fleet to that location. They demanded that the NCR withdraw a single ship. It is a classified warship, but the Atlantis is a Super Fortress class segmented warship, an ocean fortress made of 7 massive linked warships. It's also a symbol of their occupation of the Atlantis Spirit Field, so it's hard to imagine that the ACR is going along with this. Another news item just in. The ACR royal family, referencing 12 murders, including that of the former Prime Minister Zedon, has demanded the return of Supreme Chancellor Bellamui of the Liberal Democratic Party African Liberation Front, who is currently receiving political asylum in COU Madagascar. Wow, this really gets into fictional politics. Well, howdy, partner. Yeah, I was not expecting it to really take its story very seriously, but wow. They really went above and beyond. You know, I would have been fine if this was just, like, one part of the story of just them, of just a couple of countries going at it, but they're really trying to make this seem like an actual event. It is unlikely that the COU will respond to this demand, and many think that this will further complicate the Mozambique Channel issue, which concerns a heating up of travel restrictions through the area near the Lemurian Spirit Field. I had to take my laptop in the shop for multiple hardware issues at once. Oh, wow. I'm praying for you, partner. On behalf of the Crimson Sakura Lounge, we really hope that your laptop pulls through. As someone who has to go through quite a few upgrades himself, I understand the pain. Hopefully, things will turn out for the better. So, I wish you luck. And now for our next item. Just now, despite repeated requests from the ABN Oracle Department to desist, the 7-state alliance in Western ABN Ukraine has started holding out a national referendum on whether to seek admission into AOU Russia. The AOU Russian military is concentrated on their border and has hinted that they might enter as part of a humanitarian operation to protect citizens of Russian descent if the worst were to happen. Of course, the ABN Peace Department has objected vehemently to this. It's suspected that, behind the scenes, complicated religious issues that have been forcibly silent are at play here. This powder keg may have been lit last month when several VIPs of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church were arrested. Meanwhile, on the internet, theories that all these international tensions are being fueled by a Leto international conspiracy have been gaining steam. It's a conspiracy theory by the countries of Leto, trying to get the other four factions to take each other out. The four factions must maintain their self-restraint and calmly deal with these issues. Now is the time for peace and coexistence. The anti-pacifist Leto must be annihilated. Leto must stop monopolizing rare spiritium fields and share them with the whole world. Well, Leto, the world's greatest supplier of rare spiritium, is politically set up as the villain of international conspiracies. In particular, all major countries who look down on the nations affiliated with Leto in the B3W's era are rumored to be unsatisfied with Leto's international leadership in A3W society, even to the point of jealousy. It seems the military tensions springing up across the world will affect all factions, even Leto. This has been quite a day. Who's the bad guy? Vladimir Putin? You know, at this point, we're not even sure who the bad guy is at this point. It's just one bit of unsettling news after another. As if you didn't know about all these beforehand, Your Excellency. In the highest class private room of a resort hotel, an old pudgy military official and Tojiro were sharing a meal. There were MPs in the four corners of the room, all staring at Tojiro. Humans are despicable creatures, after all. The feeling of superiority we get from simply knowing things a bit sooner than the general public makes a good meal that much more delicious. If we keep this up and dash straight into World War IV, that ought to sober them up. No one wants that. This moderate sort of tension sometimes builds during peacetime. But whenever it does, they beautifully make up and give the world news a good story with nice moral. Everyone wants a scenario like that to play out. And that's what will happen this time too. After all, unless you give humans some tension every now and then, they start to forget how precious peace is. I fucking love war! So their argument is that they want to start tension and war just so that there can be more peace? So, on that logic, that would mean that they purposely want the Gauntlet Knights to kill each other, despite all of them trying to be allies at this little festival. They also forget how grateful they are to the people who protected that peace. What's for the lady in the manga and Jormungandon? Not so much for the rest of the world. Granted, but this is not that. In fact, it's more like Evangelion meets Higurashi in that sense. Exactly. After all, this spurt of international tension will make for an excellent chance to show off the true purpose of militaries and related institutions. whose job has become nothing more than earning medals in battle standard festivals under the noble guise of being servants of peace. Of course, it ends on an open note, so we'll never know if she brought about world peace or something worse. Well, hindsight's 2020. Humans are foolish creatures who respect proactive occupations, but show absolutely no respect for reactive ones. Though militaries are hailed as guardians of supporting the walls of peace, their budget has started to decline everywhere in recent years. After all, national borders have been maintained thanks to a healthy military balance, and they were now wonderfully stable. Not only that, but the newest weapon, the Gauntlet, was made ready for practical use. A few thousand suitable youths would be able to replace millions of soldiers. In the end, militaries around the world would probably be dismantled. This development was hardly amusing for old men with vested interests in the military's upper echelons, as well as high-ranking men who active service who wanted their spots. If only we had an upswing of military tensions, giving me a chance to shine. A lot of military men were thinking that way. I wouldn't be surprised if some still do. It's just like how there's never been an exterminator who wants all bugs to go extinct. However, there were quite a few old men who didn't care about the future, who were more interested in how much easy money they could make now. Boy, isn't that relevant. By the time all militaries were dissolved, they would long be retired. Why should they care what happened after that? To them, these global military tensions, which were building after such a long time, would be their last festival and a chance to rake in the dough. The military official rose to his feet and gazed through the window at a well-lit pool under the night sky. Tojiro, I heard you're a fairly well-known broker in this arena. One of my friends in the Department of Defense says he'll make a killing thanks to you. Oh? I wonder who that friend might be. When doing business with me, being loose-lipped is against the rules. No. His lips were indeed tightly sealed. And I can guarantee that he'll never speak to you again, as long as he lives. Have no fear, Tojiro. I see. So that's why he never responds when I ask him to go out for a drink. Tojiro, I'm not a small fry like him. I have power. I have no shortage of strong cards to play. And with those cards, I can help you earn even more. Would you mind showing me those cards? I've never shown my cards to anyone who hasn't brought me a sack of money. But you're different, Tojiro. Very well. As an apology for inviting you here so abruptly, I'll show you. The military official signaled to an MP with his chin. You've got mail. Boing. It's got an attached file. Boing. An email has been sent to Tojiro's cellcom. He quickly checked the attached file. In it was a record of a top secret meeting at the IPMA, the International Peace Mediation Association. It showed that they had decided to take a wait-and-see approach, practically speaking, regarding the feuds that had popped up simultaneously all around the world. The digital signature was good. This was real. It wasn't exactly surprising. Considering this man's position and connections, it shouldn't have been impossible for him to get his hands on this. This card's not bad, Your Excellency. These files were surely precious things, capable of predicting the future state of the world. The cards I have really are nothing special. I hear you have some very nice cards yourself, and that you have all sorts from all over the globe. Compared to your cards, mine are little more than a parking pass. Yeah, Tojiro, I want to be your new friend. Or are you thinking that I wouldn't be useful to your business? The plump military official held out his big, greasy hand for a handshake. Tojiro chuckled and grasped at the man's hand. You wouldn't notice it unless you looked closely, but this was a slightly unique handshake, with a peculiar arrangement of fingers. I'm glad to have formed an amicable relationship with you. Now that you have joined forces with me, I promise to make sure you rake in the dough. And I promise to earn you even more. Or rather, if I didn't, I get the feeling I'd be footing the bill for my stay here. Hey, Tojiro. As your new friend, and since we're exchanging business cards, could I ask you to reveal just one tiny card of yours? The military official suddenly smirked impishly. It was the sort of unpleasant familiarity often used by people who don't really want to be called friends. In that case, to celebrate my new friendship with your excellency, here's your card. Do you have any stock in any environmental ADMS-related companies? Of course. Stock in ADMS companies is like a goose that always lays safe golden eggs. You may want to sell that off bit by bit. Why? Well now, that would be a very different card, Your Excellency. You aren't testing me, aren't you? Not at all. If you really do trust me, then you had better do as I say. If environmental ADMS were to run into some kind of trouble, the whole world would go back into its nanomachine allergy of a century past. When that happens, it'll already be too late. I understand, Tojiro. I'll take this friend's warning to heart. First Lieutenant Valentina. I'm right here. Tojiro is my friend. Tell the Public Safety Office that they may remove their mark on him. You may leave. As you wish, Your Excellency. Valentina saluted and left the room. As she walked through the hall, her Kisuna told her that a friend had sent her a message. You've received a message from a friend, Mari Carmen. Boing. Did you see the news? It looked like all kinds of crazy things are happening all over the world. I even got a notification saying that I might get caught up in some kind of conspiracy, so I needed to be extra careful or anything suspicious. Seriously, what will I do if war really does break out? I only became a Gauntlet Knight because I wanted to fly. I don't want a war. Seriously. Opening text editor. Well. Don't be silly. Of course there won't be a war. No one wants war. They're all just amusing themselves with a situation that smells like war. It's just like how you enjoy being scared of ghosts every year during Halloween. Message sent to Mari Carmen. Well. You became a soldier because you wanted to fly. Monsters all over the world are wriggling in darkness, trying to start a greed-filled carnival. Only those who predicted the wave and managed to move first will survive and get rich. You became a soldier because you wanted to fly? Fool. That cheap resolve is going to cost you. Jeez. So much for being friends. A friend has arrived. Boing. Jaden, thanks for waiting. Sorry I'm late. I don't mind that. Not at all. Of course, that was a lie. Was it really today? Was this really the right time? Was this really the right place? He had checked the mail thread with his mental tablet way too many times. So I've been asked, do you want to set this as your default wallpaper? Boing. Damn. She didn't cancel at the last minute. How can you be so rude, Abdul? Also, you owe me one credit. A late woman is the one for you. A late man must commit seppuku. Arriving first and waiting is what makes a man a man. In the virtual room inside Jaden's head, all his male friends from the public bath were giving him support. After all, because super genius Jaden's parallel processing ability had been recognized at such a young age, he had grown up in a special institution. Forget that baptism of American boys known as the prom. He hadn't had any exciting contact with the opposite sex at all. He did have a naturally cheery personality, and he knew from sitcoms how attractive guys were supposed to act. But this was the first time putting that into practice. Oh shit, is this his first date? Oh, you're screwed, pal. You are screwed. A closely fought battle had taken place between the pressure of making sure his first date had a good time, and his pride and embarrassment at that thought of having to ask his friends for help. Eventually, the former won out, and he had gathered his friends in a virtual room so they could offer him support during his date. Hey boy, you shouldn't start by complimenting the girl who got all dressed up for this day, should you? Oh, right. Your clothes look really cute today. Thanks. But I overdid it a bit, and it looks like my shoes don't really fit me. They're adorable girly shoes. You might have Miyao's body, but you look cute when you're Miyao. -5 points. When dealing with a CPP, it's safer to avoid comparing them to other personalities. Crap! I picked them because they're cute, but there's no point if it's hard to walk in them. And on the big day of our date too. What? I'm stuck already. How am I supposed to respond to that? I'd say, don't worry about it being hard to walk. Just hold my hand and we'll take it slow. I'd show respect for the fact that she chose shoes she wasn't used to. Thanks for picking the cutest shoes for my sake. Well, I'd go with, let's stop by a drugstore and buy some foot protection tape so your precious feet don't get hurt. If we're going that route, say, for the sake of your lovely feet, my princess, I would gladly become your clogs myself. How about you soon with, that's what happens when you wear shoes you aren't supposed to, stupid. And then Dare with a, speak up if you get tired, okay? I'll carry you. Woo! What are you supposed to say in this situation? Oh no. It looks like Jing got confused and froze. Maybe he really just wanted to go out and have fun, and now he's creeped out because I suddenly called it a date. Get a hold of yourself! A date is a battlefield. If you let your guard down, some other girl will snatch him from you. Jaden is pretty cool after all. Even I was thinking about taking a shot at him. I'm not sure about the cool part, but I've learned that from this that he's surprisingly cute. Still, I don't understand. Why did you go out of your way to get Miyao shoes that weren't hard to walk in? You just don't get it. Well, if you totter around in awkward shoes, the boy might lend you his shoulders. Wow. it shows off your mentality of pure and innocent love, since you chose those shoes for him, even though it would have been difficult to walk in them. It's a splendid romantic strategy. Jane's hesitation is proof that he's just as nervous as she is. Just enjoy this feeling of awkwardness and innocence. Just enjoy it? That doesn't help at all. Like Jaden, Miyao had also invited the girls in the public bath in her mind, asking them to give her support. But you know what they say about having too many cooks in the kitchen. In the end, the support didn't help either of them, and it only ended up confusing them. Oh, if it's hard to walk, I'll walk at the same pace, so just let me know. Also, thanks for choosing such cute shoes for my sake. And, let's stop by a drugstore. I want to be your clock stupid. Wait, no, I take that back. That didn't happen. Huh? Now, when the man slips up, you must giggle and soften the mood. Now's your chance to pretend to trip and lean on his shoulder. Well, Miyao also took all the advice she was given, pretending to trip while giggling and clinging to his shoulder, as well as picking his nose, saying, "We better go to the hospital and get you some help, silly," in an incredible combo move. What does that mean? What should I do? Jaden's getting creeped out again. What should I do? I never should have gone on a date. It seemed it would take quite some time before either realized that getting live advice during a date was a bad idea. Jane had been the one who asked her out. Miyao was the kind of personality that had hidden Miao's shadow for most of the time, so there weren't many chances to talk to her directly. One night when Miyao was sleeping, he had messaged Miyao, and while they were engrossed in their conversation, he had strengthened his resolve, deciding that if he didn't ask her out now, it might be a long time before he got another chance. He had stepped up to a man's challenge, and miraculously had set up today's date. The location he had chosen was Neo Akihabara, in the center of Tokyo. Ah, Akihabara. Probably the most famous tourist trap anyone could go to. Of course, it got its name from Akihabara, which was once hailed as a sacred land of otaku culture. Still is. It was still a sacred land for subcultures in this era, but that definition was now broader. In addition to anime, manga, and games, it was packed with all sorts of ridiculous things, including artists, performers, underground idols, a precision circuit board shop, a carnivorous plant shop, the world's spice marketplace, the official chess boxing shop, an underwater combat gym, the World Furry Convention, monster parties, the Harry Manco Sleeping Cafe, the slug racing Tokyo Ionic Cup, stop by now and get 200 sacred gems, and so on. Jesus Christ, what kind of place is this? This is not the Akihabara I know. And it was a bustling city, always filled with the enthusiasm of youths who wanted to make their dreams a reality. By the way, the original Akihabara had been swallowed up by fancy fashion skyscrapers and was now a high-class city, lined up with expensive brand stores on par with Ginza. These days, saying someone was Akiba style was basically meant that they looked like a celebrity. Oh, your boyfriend's Akiba style? Wow. No, not that Akiba style. He's Neo Akiba style. That's become a classic gag in this era. And a gacha promotion. Does this world know no bounds? The answer is no. Everything goes at this point. Although I will say, she does look cute. At first, Jaden had thought about using a more stylish route, going for a stylish place that you expect girls to like. However, according to the advice of his friends, dates turn out better when you go somewhere where both of you can enjoy, rather than catering to what one person wants. The point of a date is that you both enjoy it, right? If you're just trying to entertain her, that makes you a tour guide, not her lover. But even so, how could you choose Neo-Akihabara? Shouldn't it be a more grown-up city? Grown-up cities are built to entertain grown-ups. Those two are kids. Kids should be kids and play where they don't have to restrain themselves. In my experience, women who want a grown-up date usually just want to show off by walking around with a hot guy. Hey now, this is no time to badmouth the princess, okay? That Jaden, choosing such a childish city as this. It's so much more satisfying to go to a grown-up town where you can show everyone what a grown-up date you're having. After classifying their types and their available area of the action, this city was optimal. Neo-Akihabara is famous even in COU. They say there are all sorts of strange things there. I would like to go if I had the chance. If he heard that, I'll bet a certain someone would say, such a place is not suitable for one such as you, princess. Nerds. Momotake is always strict on me. I suppose father told him to keep an eye out. But, I've heard that Neo-Akihabara is an immoral city filled with posters and billboards that expose women's skin. Well, that's just too obscene. That's the old Akihabara. Neo-Akihabara goes far beyond that, as a melting pot of all sorts of inexplicable cultures. Come on, don't be shy, take a look. In Jaden's and Miyao's brain, their friends were definitely looking down on this from above like sightseers. Jaden, do you come to cities like this often? Well, once in a while. I've gotten involved with subcultures briefly a few times. It's not like I'm an otaku or anything. I knew someone as cool as you couldn't possibly be an otaku. Yeah. Otakus are like so antisocial, right? You're right. It's just crazy to lock yourself up and play video games all the time. Hey, that's hitting a little close to home, Miyao. Why were they suddenly pretending to be normies? I like how this game just called them out abruptly, like, why are you guys pretending not to be otakus? You both do that anyways. Both of them had forgotten that they first met each other at a game center. In fact, Jaden loved video games, manga, and anime, and yet he was one of the lucky few who looked like a normie on the outside. By the way, Miyao loved video games, manga, and anime too. Most of the time she couldn't leave the inside of Miyao's head, so entertaining herself by fishing around the internet had become a hobby of hers. Oh fuck, they're just like me for real, for real. After seeing this, their friends concluded that they were doing something typical of innocent couples, going into bluff mode and trying too hard to look impressive. They poked fun at them a lot under the guise of giving advice, saying, "Be honest, don't lie to her and yourself. How could you possibly like someone who can't say what they like?" Gradually, the pair, both of them, realized they were thinking the exact same thing and trying too hard in exactly the same way. Ah, sheesh. What's up with me today? This isn't how super genius Jaden is supposed to be. Sorry, Miyao. I've just been lying my ass off trying to look cool. I love games and stuff. I love manga too. On my days off, I'm a freaking otaku who stays shut up in his room from morning till night. I acted like I knew nothing about this city, but that's not true at all. If anything, this is my home. That maid game center we just passed, I go there all the time. I've gotten a freaking platinum membership card. I know I said that's creepy. I wonder what kind of person goes to a place like that. But this here's obviously platinum, isn't it? Thank you for your time. If you say that, well, this is the first time I've come to the city, but I bought things from lots of these stores over the net. And as far as me, I spend my time shut up in my brain, and I love manga and games. But I didn't want to creep you out. What the heck? So we've both been trying to act cool? We're so uncool. Do you play games too, Miyao? Which manga have you read? Stuff like One Piece, Slam Dunk, Dragon Bell? Changed it just enough so that they don't sue you. The One Piece is real. Whoa, so you love the classics, huh? I love all those. When I started reading them on my days off, it gets dark outside before I realize it. At one point, the old internet culture had brought manga and similar industries to the brink of destruction, with illegal sharing and the like. However, thanks to various new A3W technologies, they are being protected again and are once again on the rise. Partly because manga making techniques had temporarily gone extinct, classics from the A2W's golden age of manga were coming into the limelight yet again. I love Yu Yu Sama Hakushon and Hunted too. JoJo's Bizarre Barbecue is great too. One time, when my friends and I had barbecue, I tried to do a JoJo grill, but screwed up and dropped the meat. I want to do a JoJo grill too. I want to do the one cover of volume 32. We really are creepy, aren't we? Yeah, we are. But I think that's just us at our most honest, and this suitie suits us perfectly. The two of them finally became their real selves, relaxing and laughing together honestly. Jaden had sensed something unfortunate earlier, but he was really amazed at how impossible it was to think that this was the same body as Miyao's. True, her outfit and makeup didn't make a difference, but can a person really look this different just by how they act? He couldn't help but be amazed with the fact that, when dealing with humans, what they are on the inside matters far more than how they appear. At the same time, he felt even more affection for Miyao. Even though they were going out for the first time, she had been watching him for so long, inserting compliments in the middle of Miyao's lecture mode the whole time. And, as his fondness increased, a certain question entered his head and wouldn't go away. However, he couldn't ask Miyao directly. It would be hard to find the answer. And if he asked his friends, they might really get mad at him this time. No, but, isn't this exactly the time you're supposed to rely on your adolescent friends? Are you all still there? Yeah, pretty much. We thought it would be rude to intrude any further. We were just planning to go our separate ways. If this question is inappropriate, please forget what happened today and leave quietly. I don't even mind if you unfriend me. Hey, what's up? It's not like you to be this serious. I don't know anything about CPPs, so I keep misunderstanding things and hurting people. I really am sorry that I'm so ignorant. I get that, but there's still just one thing I have to ask. There's no need to be so timid. Ask us whatever you want. We'll happily answer any questions you have. So, is this about what to do in bed? No. It's not like I expect that to come up on the first date. It's just, the thing I want to ask is sort of related to that. I want to make this clear. No, simple. fact that I care about something like this might already be rude to someone of the people here. But I'm basically a healthy, average, absolutely normal guy, right? Isn't it obvious that I want to know? About Miyao, or rather, Miyao. Which is he? Which sex? Can't you just check in the shower room after training? The ALU, out of consideration to various genders, was one of those anti-sexual discrimination nations. Really? Wow. As a result, residence cards in countries allied with the ALU's indicate their citizen number and names, but not their sexes. Information about one's sex was shared only when it became necessary at medical institutions. And even when it was shared only between the person and their hospital, and their information would be instantly removed after a certain time had passed. For example, in addition to men's and women's public bathrooms, there were also restrooms either could use. Just like women's restrooms, they only had stalls. However, you were allowed to use them regardless of your sex, so even gender minorities could use them without worrying about whether they were a girl or a boy. In short, even sex was a protected item from a private information in AOU Japan. Gauntlet Knights, who were military officers, were given suitable lodgings for their positions. For that reason, even their showers were in their fully equipped private rooms. So, he had never seen whether his partner's body was male or female. Of course, any sort of touching that would allow you to determine someone's sex was illegal throughout the OU, regardless of the perpetrator's age or gender. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. It's not like you can say, hey, can I touch you to see what you got under there? I feel like something like that would result in a lot of backlash. If Miyao's build had been more dramatically one way or the other, it would have been easy to tell. But he really did have a gray sort of build that could either be a man's or a woman's. And, you know, I'm still a guy, right? If I find someone I like, I want to form a steady relationship with them. In the end, well, I'd like to go as far as I can go. That's not weird, is it? Isn't that healthy? But, dang! If at the very end, if we get carried away, and that final instant, if we're, sexually incompatible from a biological standpoint, what do I do? I mean, you can always go bi and just do all genders. More for everyone, right? Well, I'm a big idiot, so I don't even know what I would do in that situation. I am bi, though, so it's really one or the other for me. I think those three from Yellow.Shavik could feel that question best. Should I call them? No. I want to ask the people here. At first, everyone felt like bursting out laughing and poking fun at him, but they didn't understand how he felt. If you get the lucky half of those 50-50 odds, I'd say there's no room for debate, so go for it. The problem is the other 50%. Yep. You didn't fall in love with her because you're after her body, right? So, it doesn't really matter what her biological sex is, does it? That's right. It's Miyau's heart and her kindness I fell in love with. Even if her body isn't a girl, I'll accept her. You are a true man. However, for your own mental health, you should probably resolve this issue quickly. If your heightened libido is unable to properly sublimate, you can expect to receive considerable mental damage. So, if you're able to identify her sex somehow, what will you do if Miyau's body is male, Jaden? I'll do all I can to be best friends with her. Ugh, what the hell am I doing? I just said I'm not after her body, but I'll be a letdown if her body's a male? Am I just a pervert? Ugh. That's not how Super Genius Jaden's supposed to act. I am super uncool. Ugh. Several of the most recent studies indicate that about 10% of the population is homosexual. Really? I would expect that statistic to be a little higher than that. Same-sex couples aren't particularly rare either. Apparently, women these days view same-sex couples as more pure love, since your partner isn't just after your body. Well, love can take all kinds of forms. Either way, there are many types of love as there are lovers. If this is true love, you ought to follow through to the end. You need not let the words of outsiders trouble you. In the end, that's what it comes down to. Do you like her or not? And if you do, how are you going to show each other that? In the end, that's probably for you two to decide. The young pair's sexual troubles were very innocent, and the kind of thing that can change completely depending on one's country, culture, and religion. However, Jaden and Miyao were fortunately part of the same cultural sphere and had similar values when it came to romance. On top of that, the AOU was accepting of all sorts of genders, and same-sex marriages were legal as well. Hey, I'd say that's a win, right? And, I mean, this is like every person's... Jaden is literally living the perfect male fantasy right now. In other words, you should decide freely by your own will as a pair who loves each other. That's the world you live in, so you should enjoy your love to the fullest with those rules. It wasn't as though they weren't irresponsibly supporting a romance of a couple with unknown genders. They said this with the understanding that AOU acknowledged same-sex couples. The AOU claimed to have abolished discrimination against sexual minorities, but not all factions did this. If Jaden and Miyao had been in a different faction or cultural sphere, the others probably would have offered different advice. If Miyao and I weren't from the AOU, could this have gotten messy? In the ABN, homosexuality is accepted, at least on the surface. However, the Unified Religious Council keeps putting off making a decision about whether or not homosexuality is acceptable. Because of that, fundamentalists who like to call themselves devout still take an unsympathetic attitude. In the ACR, same-sex marriage is officially supported. Still, was it last year? It got out that one of the princes was gay and everyone freaked out. Pretty sure he gave up his place in the royal succession and was forced to become a monk. Yeah, I remember that. Gender minorities across the ACR started holding protests, right? It's not as though people across the world are free to do whatever they want, like in the AOU. We still don't know for sure if Miyao's the same sex as me, but the world does have all kinds of issues, doesn't it? Do you remember that girl, Ruki, from my squad's Superana? Rukshana? I remember her. She's the cute girl who came in waving with you during the Battle Standard Festival, right? In the culture of her country, it's considered immoral to have members of the opposite sex in the workplace. Wait, what? Then how do men and women work together? Similar to how men and women have different bathrooms and changing rooms. People in her culture think it's better to have workplaces divided that are also divided between boys and girls. What a modest culture. Because of that, when it came out that the squad she had been assigned to had a man in it, and it caused a bit of a fuss in her home country. Political concerns in the COU upper echelons had been partly responsible for the formation of the kit. So they couldn't have Audrey leave their ace squad just for Ruksha's sake. Instead, the heads of the COU government had stepped in personally to mediate, and in the end, the whole matter was settled by having the king of Ruksha's country publicly announce that she had been given special permission. I don't want you to get the wrong idea, but I'm not trying to say one group is right or wrong here. I'm just pointing out that all regions have their own cultures, which have been developed over long histories. They all have to respect one another. Fortunately, in the cultural sphere you and Miyao live in, there shouldn't be any problems regardless of what her sex actually is. That's all I'm saying. Still, there's one thing I want you to remember. In the AOU, whether it's same-sex marriage or whatever, that issue only concerns two people involved. However, in another region, that can be completely different. In some situations, no matter how much you two decide you love each other, it wouldn't work out. Make sure you don't forget that, okay? In that sense, you're quite fortunate, Jaden. There are all sorts of cultures and ways of thinking in this world. The AOU often calls itself an advanced nation when it comes to human rights. However, that might be quite an arrogant way of thinking about it. For example, same-sex marriage is allowed in the AOU, but marriage not between close relatives is not. However, if there existed a country that didn't allow same-sex marriages, but did allow marriages between close relatives, then the AOU would definitely be a backwards nation in their eyes. It isn't as though the culture and laws of each and every place suddenly fall out of the sky one day, engraved onto stone tablets. These things have been a brew throughout the long histories of people in this land. It would be arrogant for an outsider to call some of them advanced and some backwards. So when some aspects of a culture doesn't fit in with this era, it's up to the people living in that cultural sphere to decide whether they should change it or not. Since even a single culture can have so many different views, if this pair of lovers had actually been from a different culture, this issue would surely have become far more complicated. It's even possible that it wouldn't work out, even if both of the lovers decided to go through with it. We'll talk it over alone and make our decision. We won't worry about what other people say. Those are the rules of this land, and I've decided to deepen my relationship with Miyao. That's good. And as for overcoming the differences between American and Japanese culture, you should be able to find countless tips over the net from people who've succeeded at it. The rest is up to me to figure out. And the answer is obvious. Conclusion. No matter what sex her body is, I, Jaden, like Miyao. However, if I know her sex beforehand, I'll be able to control myself better in various ways, and I'm sure I'll be able to avoid hurting her. No, maybe it'll hurt her just to know that I'm thinking this. Oh wait! I'm making a mistake here. This isn't something I want to have to figure out alone. It's something Miyao and I have to figure out. If both of us really do want to be together, I'm sure we'll naturally find a proper distance to keep while being to ourselves. Isn't it obvious now, considering how much we managed to relax around each other since we first arrived at Neo Akihabara? I guess you really do want to know, right? What do you mean? About my biological sex. Jaden panicked, thinking she'd seen right through him. Then again, Miyao had probably been having a mental conference with her female friends, just like Jaden. Yeah? I love you, Miyao. Huh? Thank you. Still, I didn't fall in love with you because you're a girl. It's because you're Miyao. Uh-huh. So, I'm not gonna force you to tell me. I see. And anyway, how can you be so sure I'm a guy? See how long my hair is? Maybe when I'm in my room, I tie them into twin tails and wear miniskirt maid outfits, right? I think I'd like to see that. So, don't worry about it. We don't even live in a time where the Ciconia carry our babies to us. Worrying about biological sex is a concept of the past. You're saying that out of concern for me, aren't you? Thanks, Jaden. Still, I really do think this is unfair. What is? I mean, I'm being unfair, not you. What, seriously? Why? I started liking you knowing you're a wonderful man, but you started liking me without even knowing my sex. Is biological sex really so important when two people like each other? Well, I do believe Jaden has the right to seek sexual relations with the opposite gender in his dating life. Wow. What relations? Like, Keropollo started croaking and I couldn't hear that last part. Oh my. Want me to show you how to take off your filters? I agree with Rethabeel. If Jaden isn't going to be able to find what he's looking for, he has the right to spend all that effort on a different girl. Maybe it's the same kind of unfairness as a married person, pretending to be single when talking to someone looking for marriage. For Jaden... No, for men. Is it really so important that the one they love would be of the opposite sex? Princess, finding that fact to be strange or unsightly is a sign of ignorance about the opposite sex. Have you heard of the book, What Men Think About Apart from Sex? What men think about apart from... Kero? Men must really love Keropollo. Wow. I keep forgetting she's underage. What men think about apart from sex? That sounds interesting. Let's look it up. Now searching, Pollo. Searching results. There's a novel of that name written by Sheridan Simov. Colloquially, it is also a phrase used to refer to a blank notebook, ironically implying that men don't think about anything other than sex. Wasn't there also a book called What Women Think About Apart from Money? Miyao. If you're worried about that, and you really like him, wouldn't it be better to come clean and tell him? That's certainly one opinion. To be honest, even we don't know your body's real sex. Similarly, though we act like women, there's no way for anyone to know what our bodies' sexes are. Our bodies are far apart, and we can only meet in Kasuna virtual rooms, so our sexes really don't matter. However, in your world, where your bodies can actually approach each other, I'm sure it matters a lot. I think that, as long as the love is mutual, it can be shared between people regardless of sex. And even with inanimate objects, if you take it into an extreme. That's quite a unique way of thinking, Li Ji. I don't dislike it, though. I'm aware that this view is only shared by a tiny minority, both in the COU and the world at large. I suppose gender really is important. If telling him the truth would make him give up on you, then that love wouldn't have lasted long anyway. If that's the case, you'd be better off making things clearer sooner rather than later. Does this mean Your sex really is one that you would make him give up on you? No, it's not like that at all. Thanks, everyone, for worrying so much for my sake. It's not as though I'm keeping it quiet because my sex would make Jaden give up on me. That's, my problem. Our problem. Miyao had personalities of 2 different genders in a single body, so a gender reveal wouldn't only have consequences for her. Bearing that in mind, this certainly wasn't an easy problem. Whether you decide to reveal it or not, that choice will also be part of your romantic experience. If they both have love, then there's no barrier they won't be able to cross. Wow. In the end, what Naima just said is the answer. No matter how much we barge in and try to offer advice, it isn't as important as the answer Miyao decides for herself. Miyao, I think you should enjoy your love, including the part where you worry over this question. Jaden, I'll definitely tell you about my body someday. Don't worry about it, okay? There's no need for you to force yourself. No, I want to tell you. I just need a bit more time to prepare myself mentally. I see. So, Christmas. Huh? Searching results. In Japan, Christmas is considered a major event for couples. Boing. By the way, Americans roast turkeys for Christmas, but in Japan, they eat fried chicken for some reason. Boing. Really? Well, now I have options. If we can still feel this way about each other on Christmas, I'll tell you then. Is that too long of a wait? Not at all. I'll respect your feelings. But still, thanks. Why? You probably decided to do that for my sake. Thanks for caring about me so much. I'll make sure I care for you just as much, Miyao. So, I'll make you a promise right now. Okay. I love you regardless of what sex you are. You're the best girlfriend and the best buddy a guy could have. Thanks, Jaden. Christmas wasn't that far off. Once autumn and then winter came, it would be here. They passed in front of a home appliance modding store. In the window, a TV toaster hybrid was showing them the news. I'm standing in front of the IPMA headquarters in Ledo, Brazil. Just now, their spokesperson commented on the conflicts breaking out simultaneously all across the globe, saying that because of interventions made at any particular conflict might benefit or harm one faction or another, they would have to wait for the situation to de-escalate before taking action. He made it clear that they don't intend to interfere with any of these conflicts at this time. In response to this, the ALU Joint Press Secretary said, Interrupt CM. Quiero pollo pollo. Have you upgraded to the new version of Quiero Pollo? For a small fee, you might be able to remove ads like this one. Pollo pollo. You haven't done so yet, so it'll be 2 minutes and 58 seconds until the ad ends. Pollo. Now, let's sing the Audi Frog's coming of age journey. Oh! To all video uploaders, this is as far as you can... Okay, yep, that's it. Okay, we have officially reached the quote-unquote end of the show. So, yeah. I apologize for anyone in advance who feels like this is unfair, but unfortunately I have to respect the needs and the wishes of the developer. Still, if you guys want to find out the ending, or if you're very curious, I'll put a link in the description below. so that you guys can check it out. Again, my opinion on this game, for anyone watching, it was definitely interesting. Definitely tackles on a lot of different conflicts and different ideas. But I really like it. I like how it doesn't pretend to be something it's not. And I like how it tries to be real. It really steps away from the norm of most visual novels. And I really enjoy it. I'm definitely gonna read through it on my own time, see what the ending is like. And I hope Phase 2 comes out shortly. Because this is easily one of my favorite visual novels to date. I mean, it's definitely very text-heavy, and after reading through it a couple of times, it does tend to get a little old with you, but it's amazing how the developer made something like this in such a large scale, and with such high quality. I am very excited to see what else is in store in the future for this series, but unfortunately, we have to close it out on this chapter. Still, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you all got something out of it, even if it was just a little entertainment. Tomorrow, we are going to continue with Amori. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens later on. So, let's see. Who's streaming right now? Kinda want to send you guys somewhere. Let me check really quick on who's up on right now. Let's see. Is who I think is on is the question. Yes, Koki is online. Okay, you know what? Let's raid into her. She's doing a sponsor segment right now, so we'll definitely see what's going on. And she's also doing a sort of a quote-unquote lip trip with Olivia, so that'll be fun to see. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoy. If you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see, please leave a comment below. Hope you all will be joining us again tomorrow when we go to Amori. And as always, respect the classics.